Ladies and gentlemen, people of the internet, today we're talking about the absolutely monumental features coming to Cardano now that the Shelley mainnet launch has occurred. And I know your time is valuable, so let's just dive right into it. Now, the Shelley milestone brought the hotly anticipated staking and incentives upgrades to the core Cardano network, which brings new levels of decentralized operations and governance, as well as new opportunities for the native ADA token to be a part of both that governance and earning for its users. This is, of course, an impressive feat and a much needed upgrade to the protocol that sets the stage for the future. However, the best is yet to come. The next impending development milestone, dubbed Goguen after the legendary computer scientist of the same name, will bring a robust technology stack enabling programmable logic on the blockchain, which most people now know by the misnomer that is smart contracts. It's well known that one of the biggest value drivers for Ethereum, the current undisputed champion of decentralized application development, is the fact that it has countless developers, it has a ton of users, and it has the best developer tools that exist in the market today to make it easier to create and garner interest in decentralized applications on that blockchain. This is precisely the title that Cardano, amongst others, are trying to seize from Ethereum. In other words, they want to be the best network for developers and users alike to turn to for the most impactful and valuable decentralized applications out there. Now, Cardano's approach is as follows: to create a highly predictable and deterministic programming language called Plutus that will allow developers to create safe and secure decentralized applications easily, and simultaneously to provide a means by which non-technical users as well can get in on the fun and create business logic driven smart contracts using a user interface. They don't have to have any programming experience at all, and they can do this using a tool called Marlowe. We're going to talk about both of these. Oh, and by the way, if you're digging this video or you're a Cardano fan, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you in advance for that. Now, in response to Ethereum's Solidity programming language, which is notoriously easy to use, but very difficult to use with a high confidence level of its security, Cardano's Plutus programming language is built specifically to be as safe, predictable, and strict as possible, whilst also allowing developers to create a wide array of applications with it. Now, that being said, the core properties of the Plutus smart contract language are inherited from its parent language, or the programming language on which it is built, and that language is called Haskell. Haskell in and of itself is a language that lends itself to secure, reliable code because its core attributes are oriented towards clean, declarative code in writing. Now, if you care about the programming technology, Haskell is a functional language that tells the computer what to do to solve a problem, what operations to run, whereas Solidity is an imperative language that tells the computer how to do each task to solve a problem. It's a nuanced difference, but in a highly simplified manner, think of Plutus and languages like it in the functional family as languages with high assurance that what the code was intended to do is exactly what it will do in a live environment. Now, this is the crux of what Cardano's scripting language strategy is, targeting formal verification all along the way. In other words, being able to mathematically prove that a given piece of functionality will behave predictably as it was intended in its real form on mainnet. Of course, it's one thing to solve the on-chain part of it, but it's a whole different ballgame to make a language that inherently works well in a blockchain environment, but also plays nicely with off-chain things, especially legacy technologies. That being said, during the Cardano Summit, the Cardano team outlined some of the work that was done to make the language compatible with, for example, traditional finance systems for integrations. This is what I like to see, because thinking about integrations before you have to come up with a solution to a real problem, so doing it from the beginning rather than trying to force a solution later after the architecture is set in stone, that's just a smart move. Now, this strategy should result in a much more secure smart contract on the Cardano network, or at least smart contracts that are predictably bad or predictably good, which is better than having things that are unpredictable, of course. That's a win in my book because I like predictability and determinism in programming more than the next guy. And the work that's been done to make off-chain integrations possible will likely present opportunity in the financial services world when Goguen launches. Now, what these smart contracts will unlock is really the missing piece in Cardano's architecture today. And that would be tokenization and dApps. What makes Ethereum so successful is that A, its ecosystem of dApps and developers who've built token economies that people want to be part of have come to fruition year after year, and B, the tool sets available to make it so easy to build a new dApp is ever present in Ethereum. So Cardano needs to replicate this to succeed and then exceed that as well. And it seems that they're doing just that. With Plutus, developers will be able to create dApps with their own custom tokens, much like the ERC20 standard, with, of course, some differences. And if I had to make a guess, I would guess that the grants program that Cardano is running will be dishing out money to a handful of experienced Haskell developers first to start building out DeFi products, for example, because that's one of the hottest niches right now. And this will be done through what's called the C Fund, which is a bucket of about $20 million that will be used to kickstart developer projects that will be deployed on Cardano. This is exactly what I would have hoped for, and I'm really happy that they have grant money set aside. However, money is not enough in and of itself. Cardano's team will have to support these developers with tools and resources to build quality dApps from scratch, as these will be the very first of their kind without a lot of training wheels out there, tutorials for people to use. Now, to me, if Cardano can pull off a Goguen launch this year in 2020, and then they can get functional dApps out in the world from experienced Haskell developers by early 2021, that would be a major success, and it would put the project in prime position to potentially sway some Ethereum 2.0 hopefuls to use Cardano instead for their dApp. Now, I will say this, I think Cardano's niche with this language will be financial style use cases, very mathematically driven, numbers-based use cases. And DeFi will be very powerful here. It's almost a match made in heaven given the high assurance code that makes moving big money in contracts a little bit less scary. And obviously DeFi's had its issues in the past. All this being said, I still think that the most underrated and underappreciated product in Cardano history is Marlowe, the domain-specific language that will allow financial processes to be modeled and deployed to the blockchain as smart contracts without any programming experience required. So by abstracting out all the core programming requirements and giving users a literal drag and drop user interface to build functional smart contracts for financial instruments, Cardano could very well be the go-to network for a variety of institutions who are on the sidelines right now using blockchain. Why? Because hiring smart contract developers is expensive. Hiring someone with experience to lead a project is nearly impossible. And finally, because technical debt is a real problem in the smart contract world when projects get abandoned, people just don't want to take the cost on. However, with Marlowe, a financial analyst or a process manager could go onto the Marlowe interface, drag and drop logical blocks that represent financial instruments onto the page, and then deploy that logic as a functional, secure, battle-tested smart contract on the Cardano mainnet. Basically, these building blocks on the user interface represent tested buckets of Haskell code, or snippets of Haskell code that can be run as normal, but the actual programming is abstracted away from the user. Of course, this trades flexibility for ease of use. You can't do everything with this. But I think about the cost savings here. Salaried, non-technical people, even leaders at an insurance company, for example, could experiment with and build out proof of concepts for blockchain-based solutions in a matter of hours without having any programming knowledge. And this cuts out a huge barrier to entry for organizations to start working on blockchain stuff and working in the space. If you can test the waters for little to no cost, you can spend the bigger money in building a production system that really moves the needle in adoption. So Marlowe is something that I'm so excited about, and I think it will be a real hidden gem within this Goguen release. The Goguen development milestone will undoubtedly cast Cardano directly into the ring with the decentralized application protocol juggernauts, and it will arguably be the biggest opportunity since the advent of the project to make a real splash in the market. So this is an exciting time to be a Cardano fan, folks. And of course, if you do have time to stick around, please do check out my Plutus deep dive video, which dives a lot deeper into the Cardano smart contract language itself. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, cheers.